watching closely as results finally start coming in one of, if not the most consequential election of our lifetime. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Devin Dagnall. It is still somewhat early, but let's get right to the results as they stand right now. Okay, so we're looking at the Electoral College. Kamala Harris sits at 99 Electoral College votes, and former President Donald Trump sits at 188. Again, this is still early on in the night, and we haven't seen anything from the West Coast yet, but we'll keep you updated as we find out more.
And moving on now to Congressional District 2, a very hotly contested race right now. State Representative Austin Theriault, who is the Republican challenger to incumbent Representative Jared Golden, is in the lead. Theriault with just over 3,600 votes.
All right, and shifting our gaze to Congressional District 1, Shelley Pingree, the incumbent right now, currently leading her race with almost 9,000 votes. Ronald Russell close behind, about 3,000 votes behind with 6,000 votes. And then Ethan Alcorn with just 688 votes right now.
All right, and let's take a look at some of those state referendum questions. Question 1 concerning setting a $5,000 limit for giving to political action committees that spend money to support or defeat candidates. The yeses with a resounding lead right now at 24,972 votes.
All right, and we're looking to question 2 on the ballot, an act to authorize a general fund bond issue for research and development and commercialization. Now, that is leading with the no votes with just over 18,000 votes, but we're still seeing results coming in. That could easily change as we go on throughout the night.
State question 3, another bond issue, $10 million to restore historic buildings. And we know a couple of small municipalities in our region have a vested interest in this one of them being Sangerville. And so let's take a look at those results. Right now, the no's are leading at 18,143 votes. But again, not too wide of a margin over the yeses. So certainly keeping an eye on that one as well.
All right, and we're looking at another bond issue. This one is to promote the design, development, and maintenance of trails for outdoor recreation activity transportation. This is another slight lead right now. Right now we're looking at 18,000 votes, just over 18,000 votes actually. The no's are close behind with just 17,000 votes. And again, we'll keep you updated as more of that comes through.
And finally, a state referendum number 5, that is an act to restore the former state of Maine flag. Right now, the no's have the lead, 22,555 votes over the yeses. Another hotly contested state referendum question there.
Absolutely.
All right, well, there are a couple hours to go. Voters still filing into polling places. We go live to Doug Banks, who is now at the Austin Theriault watch party. Doug, what are things looking like there?
Good evening, Beth and Devin. Yes, I'm at the Austin Theriault watch party right now, where people have really started to come in now. You see a lot of supporters, both with friends and family, and both with representatives and senators as well that I've seen out here through the night. Now, as you guys mentioned previously, it's still too early to tell. Last time I checked, there's around 5% of the total votes calculated so far that are in, and at the time, 56% were in favor of Austin Theriault. And as it is right now, people have just been, communicating with one another, watching the results come in as they come in. And as it is right now, you see that former President Donald Trump, has a sizable lead at the moment over Vice President Harris. And when Austin Theriault went on his 11-county tour that we previously talked about, I spoke with actually one of his supporters that he was talking about at this restaurant, and he said that I'm voting for Austin Theriault because Donald Trump gave his endorsement to Austin Theriault. So you have to wonder if that was on people's minds as they went into the voters' booth today. Now, as you guys previously mentioned, it's still too early to tell where it is right now, but as those election results start coming in throughout the night, we'll keep you updated as best as possible. That's it for right now for me, and I'll talk to you guys later on in the evening. Live in Bangor, I'm Doug Banks for Fox 22. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Doug. Now we're going to shift our gaze to Golden's campaign. We have our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard in Lewiston right now, following that closely. Corey, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Devin and Beth, good evening. Congressman Golden, incumbent Congressman Golden, is fighting for his job. That is the feeling with the Golden campaign here. It's been a close race, neck and neck, and we heard from the surrogate for the campaign, Bobby Reynolds, earlier this evening, because Congressman Jared Golden for yesterday and today has done no media availabilities, no interviews, and this is what he had to say regarding the fact that it's now in the hands of the voters.
The congressman is happy now that the polls are closed. It's been a long campaign season. The congressman's very proud of the campaign he has run. He's extremely proud of the way he's represented the constituents of the 2nd District. And now it's in the hands of the voters. And of course, he hopes to keep on representing those folks.
And we heard a statement from Representative Golden that said the following, quote, "As we wait for every ballot to be counted, I want to thank Maine voters for turning out to participate in the greatest democracy the world has ever known." Now, we don't expect to hear from Congressman Golden tonight. However, that may change as the election results pour in. So we're going to keep following this campaign for the near future. Until this race is called. So for right now, live in Lewiston, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Thank you, Corey. We are still waiting for Senate results as Senator Angus King is looking to hold onto his seat. Our Grace Blanchard has been at King's watch party in Brunswick and spoke with the senator not too long ago. We go to her coverage now.
It has been a packed room here at the Flight Deck Brewing in Senator Angus King's hometown of Brunswick. Senator King has been surrounded by family and supporters who have all been looking for a result that gives the incumbent a 3rd term in the Senate. We spoke with the senator when he arrived to the watch party. Here's what he had to say about the key issues he hopes to address if re-elected.
I think there are 3 or 4 that I can run down pretty quickly. One is reproductive rights, one is housing, one is veterans care, and the cost of living. I think those are the ones that I want to focus on, particularly when I get back. And I think there are things that we can get done. The other one is border security. We've got a bill teed up, bipartisan bill. I'm hoping that we can move that. Of course, a lot will depend on what happens tonight.
The senator also shared that he could not believe how many first-time voters he saw at the polls today, and noted that in Bangor they even had to print more ballots. He's hoping the turnout will work in his favor. The senator is going up against 3 other candidates, Republican Demi Kazunas, Democrat David Costello, and Independent Jason Cherry. All the latest election coverage can be found on our website, foxbangor.com. In Brunswick, I'm Grace Blanchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, voters in the Bangor area were getting a little help in making their way to the polls today. Bangor's new trolleys were on the road, giving people from several communities a free ride to polling locations. 3 trolleys, to be exact, were being used to transport people in Bangor, Brewer, Old Town, Orono, Vesey, and Hamden. There are several pickup spots, including City Hall, Bangor House, and at the new public transit center downtown. The trolleys were also picking up riders at other designated stops.
Just a quick reminder for everyone at home that throughout the evening you can head to our website foxbangor.com for all of your election results. Again, that is foxbangor.com.
Well, last week we were able to speak with former Secretary of Defense, Maine Representative, Senator, and Bangor native Bill Cohen about the upcoming election, or the election we are now in the midst of, rather, and the current political landscape. Among his insights, he shared his thoughts on the significance of the state of Maine seal and what it represents both here and abroad.
Take a look at the state of Maine seal. What does it show? The farmer with the scythe, the sailor with the anchor, the moose in front of pine trees, water there to show that we have water galore in our state, and the North Star, which shows the sense for integrity and independence. That's what Maine represents to the rest of the country, and I can tell you to the rest of the world.
All right.
Some great insight there.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get a first check of our forecast.
All right, Beth, thank you. Busy night around here and also in the weather department because we have lots of temperatures near 60 today, but we're not going to stop there. High temperatures up near 70 tomorrow for one day only, and then some cooler temperatures in store for us basically for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Until then, though, a small craft advisory. We're kicking in a gusty south wind tonight. That's giving us wave heights out here of 4 to 8 feet by about midday tomorrow. There were a couple sprinkles across the area today. Not a big deal. These will all kind of go away tonight and tomorrow, sprinkle free with plenty of sunshine throughout the afternoon as all of this goes that way, and that will stay to our west for now. Our forecast then tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies, low temperatures in the 50s. Your full forecast is coming up. Beth?
All right, Jeff, thank you so much. And stay with us. Coming up, we're going to have a chat with the chair of the UMaine Political Science Department, get his insight as to this election. And of course,
we'll have more of your local results. Stay with us.
Lagoons Transportation and Energy, located in Osborne, provides limited propane services to eastern and central Maine, including but not limited to tank recertification, cage accounts, cylinder exchanges, and more. Lagoons also offers Lignetics premium wood pellets available for delivery.
Did you know that 50% of the air you breathe in your home is air that comes from Hafford Basement Systems? All things basementy. A wet, damp basement is a real problem. It can damage your valuables, worsen asthma and allergies, and affect indoor air quality. We'll transform your basement into a dry, usable space and improve the health of your entire home. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basementy.
I've been with US Cellular for 27 years. They've always taken care of me. But when they asked me to talk to you about their special customer event, Us Days, I said, I gotta get in shape. So they sent me this Hollywood trainer. Oh, this guy's no joke. Us Days means exclusive deals just for us customers.
Now let's try burpees.
Us Days is back at US Cellular. Current customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $400 off any tablet.
Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover-Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Browse our inventory online or in person. Whether it's a car, truck, or SUV, we can put you in the vehicle that is right for you. Sales, service, and parts. Rowell's Garage, doing business the right way every day.
Oh, here we go, here we go. Season 12! She can sing.
The Masked Singer, all new Wednesdays on Fox.
Lagoons Transportation and Energy, located in Osborne, provides limited propane services to eastern and central Maine, including but not limited to tank recertification, cage accounts, cylinder exchanges, and more. Lagoons also offers Lignetics premium wood pellets available for delivery.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll have everything you need to know post-Election Day. Presidential results, U.S. Senate District 1 and 2, all of the ballot questions, plus some relevant local races like local city council races, the Bar Harbor cruise ship question, whether Ellsworth will allow recreational pot stores, and more.
All right, let's dive into some local results now. We'll take a look at the races for state Senate across our region. And we should have those results coming up in just a moment. There are, of course, many seats up for grabs, all of them really. Maine State Senate District 2, Eastern Aroostook County, Trey Stewart with a decisive lead there. He is the Republican incumbent, of course, over Matthew Rush. State Senate District 11, we're seeing Robert Meyer, Republican challenger, with 1,500 votes roughly, so leading the incumbent Chip Curry.
All right, and now we're going to look at some of the state House race results. Let's get those up there. Right now in Senate District 3, we got Bradley Farron, the incumbent, leading the polls, Republican, with just 940 votes right now.
Okay, and we're hearing that that is what we have for now. So, of course, we're going to continue to follow as those numbers continue to trickle in. Meanwhile, 2 former teachers are both running for seats in Augusta. David Hagan is running for Senate, while his wife, Kim Hagan, is running to replace him in the House of Representatives. Many motorists have seen their campaign signs together throughout Hamden and Newburgh. We met the couple outside the former Hamden Academy School building, where they both attended high school.
I taught civics and government, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the whole process, and it's really, really great to live it.
I never pictured myself pursuing this, and I find it extremely interesting and will be very proud to be able to make an impact, hopefully, as a representative.
Well, I'd like to get our state out of the $1 billion mess it's in right now. I'd like to see lower property taxes, obviously, or we paying less. Energy costs are an issue.
I've dedicated my life to children and education, and I would like to see what I can do at the state level. I'm picturing that if I can improve their lives and create a Maine that they can stay in, that I'm bettering everybody's life in Maine.
All right, and we are joined tonight by Mark Brewer. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, the chair of the poli-sci department at UMaine, frequent face here on our election coverage. So we're glad you're with us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I know one of the things we wanted to touch on is just talking about, sort of the mad dash to the end of the campaigns the last week or so. What have you thought about how, at least as far as the presidential campaign is concerned, how each candidate has sort of wrapped up their messaging?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, obviously, any campaign, the last few days are just, as you described it, a mad dash, right? Yeah. And candidates are trying to get to as many places as they can, talk to as many voters as they can, and really try and drive home kind of their closing message. I thought that former President Trump had a little bit of a rough close, seemed to be hitting on some topics that maybe his advisors would have rather him not hit on. Yeah. Vice President Harris seemed to have a stronger close, but we're not necessarily maybe seeing that so far in the results that are coming in. So shows that what you think you see might not always be what you actually see.
It is early, though, so when you look at the Electoral College map as it currently appears, what goes through your head?
Well, I mean, I think where we are right now, and as you pointed out, it's early, right? And there's still a lot of states left to be decided, a lot of votes to be counted. I think that right now things are looking more favorable for former President Trump than Vice President Harris, but that could change, within the hour. So, I mean, yeah. It's still too early for that.
Yeah.
And if I could just cut in here and shift things to Maine elections, I want to talk about out-of-state money coming into our Maine election. I know that we have the referendum question on there right now, which would limit super PACs. Are we seeing a lot of out-of-state money affecting this election?
I've been in Maine now for 20 years, and when I first came here, out-of-state money was not unheard of, but was still relatively rare, especially compared to some other states. We've seen a lot of out-of-state money coming in now to congressional races, U.S. Senate, and House races now for a number of years. This cycle, we're actually seeing a fair amount of out-of-state money coming into state legislative races, which again was not unheard of before, but more this time than before.
What does that say to you about where Maine stands in the political landscape?
I think it shows that Maine politics is closely divided. A lot of policy is now being made at the state level, and people are paying attention to what's going on in Maine.
All right. Well, we look forward to speaking with you again a little bit later on in our show, when we thank you for your time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All righty. Well, as we know, partisan gridlock has been a talking point for politicians on both sides of the aisle for many years now. In our conversation with former Secretary of Defense and Bangor native Bill Cohen, he talked about Mainers leading the way in working across the aisle over the years and the importance of finding common ground.
I believe that's what we've always done historically in Maine, whether it was Ed Muskie, whether it was Margaret Chase Smith, whether it was Senator Mitchell, whether it was Olympia Snowe with Susan Collins. We always tried to say, where's the middle? Where can we reach agreement on these big issues? We're always going to differ philosophically, but that's okay. That's good. We believe in competition. We believe in ideological, philosophical competition in the marketplace of ideas. That's good for the country. That's good for Maine. But what we don't want to see is where one party, one extremist party, either left or right, dominates the political agenda.
And coming up, we're going to sit down with Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows and get her take on voter turnout and other important voter-related topics.
Stay with us.
The marathon of life can be challenging.
Chores and responsibilities keep us from the things we once loved and the aspirations we set. But it's never too late to find your second wind. With an affordable, fully online program and advisors to help you along the way, you can cross the finish line at your own pace. Finish strong at the University of Maine.
You're gripping a pumpkin spice latte, watching the home game on a Friday night. Earlier, you took the kids apple picking and almost made it through the corn maze. It's that time of year. Shorter days, cooler nights. Valley Home Services believes the comfort and warmth of home means more on nights like these. Comfort and warmth that comes from Fujitsu heat pumps. Valley Home Services has the most reliable choices for heating and cooling your home or business. Ditch the worry of heating bills and power outages all season long with Valley Home Services. Go ahead, embrace the comfort.
We've got your truck at Darlings Chevrolet. Right now, Darlings has lots of trucks and lots of great deals. Silverados, Colorados, EVs, and tough workhorses of the Chevy HD line. Our staff will help you find the perfect truck for you. Whether you're buying a new truck for the family, work, or fun, we've got your truck at Darling Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. You'll do better at Darlings.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
When it comes to the feud,
name a way a woman might say she likes her men and her cheese.
You either nail it,
Sharp,
spicy, or fail it.
full of adventure.
When you're at the grocery store, you want to find some adventurous cheese running around the dairy section.
Family Feud.
Where are you going? Stop all this adventure!
Weeknights at 7 on Fox 22.
If you've been injured, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
And welcome back in. We are joined once again by Maine's top election official, Secretary of State Jenna Bellows. It's been a busy day for you.
It started early at 6 a.m. in Buxton. We closed out the night in Clifton.
All righty. Well, it seems like results are sort of crawling in. It's a little slower, certainly than we might like, but we're anxious to see them. You're saying that actually has to do with high voter turnout, so talk a little bit about that.
The pace of the slow results is a testament to high voter turnout. So voters need to be really patient. Our clerks and wardens and poll workers are in the polling places right now counting. This could go into the wee hours of the night. Now remember, some of our clerks were up at 3 a.m. like I was, so they are tired.
Yeah.
But they are, under Maine law, we do the count on election night. So we'll know by morning what those unofficial results are in the towns. Then they have 2 business days to get the official results to the Secretary of State's office.
Now, what does that counting look like? Sort of what's going on behind those closed doors, or if they're even closed at all?
So the good news is, in the larger municipalities, of course, they're running the tabulator tapes, right? But today we saw such long lines that people were sometimes putting their ballots in the ballot boxes. So that means poll workers have to slide those ballots that haven't been processed yet into the tabulators to make sure that the count is complete. In the little towns, they may be doing hand counts. And especially we had 2 statewide ballots, the referendum ballot and the candidate ballot that had both the congressional races, the presidential, the state house races for the legislature.
So much going on.
And sometimes municipal races in a lot of our municipalities. So that level, and of course 5 referendum questions, that's a lot of counting.
It is, yeah, it is a lot of counting. We've been seeing, I've been hearing, sort of seeing headlines about high voter turnout in lots of places, people waiting 6 or 7 hours in Pennsylvania, and that's proportional here in the state of Maine where we have, we may have a lower population, but we were seeing, lines out the doors and crowds in lobbies earlier tonight. So, that says a lot.
We heard reports of voters still casting their ballots after 8 o'clock because, of course, if you were in line at 8 p.m., you could still cast your ballot. And because you had 2 ballots, some voters were taking a little bit of time, some of the poll workers, it was taking a little time to get in. That's a testament to good voter turnout. It can be frustrating if you're that voter that's in line for a couple of hours, unfortunately.
But just to be clear, if you were in line before 8 o'clock or even 8 o'clock on the nose, you will have the opportunity to vote.
That's right, and that's what we saw. We didn't get any complaints of anybody being turned away at 8 o'clock.
That's important.
It was.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it very, very much. I'm sure we'll be speaking
Our pleasure.
again in the near future. All right, folks, there is more to come. Stay with us.
Start your day with Good Morning Maine. Weekday mornings starting at 6 on Fox 22.
Maine's largest network of parts has more reasons to shop this fall and more ways to keep you warm. Stock up and hit the road with Milwaukee's heated hoodies all winter long at the lowest price guaranteed. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
At WKIT in the 90s, things were a little different. Now we take the rock very seriously. Still clowning around decades later. 100.3 WKIT, WKIT HD, Brewer, Bangor.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Hi everyone, Troy Pearl here. For a decade, Renewal by Andersen has been so much more than just a window and door replacement company. We've been your neighbors, your partners, your friends, growing together in a community we all proudly call home. From campuses to concerts, we've enjoyed entertainment together, celebrated life's milestones, and enhanced homes and lives. We couldn't have done it without the incredible support of our suppliers, providing us with top-notch products, and a special shout-out to our dedicated employees. You are the heart and soul of Renewal by Andersen. Your hard work, passion, and commitment to excellence inspires us every day. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, we're overflowing with gratitude. Our journey has been fueled by a commitment to giving back through charitable organizations that uplift our community, reminding us that every window we replace isn't just about homes. It's about creating a better future for all. Thank you, everyone who has made 10 years possible. Here's to many more.
The better way to a better window. Renewal by Andersen.
Maine's largest network of parts has more reasons to shop this fall and more ways to keep you warm. Stock up and hit the road with Milwaukee's heated hoodies all winter long at the lowest price guaranteed. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
Welcome back in. Well, we spoke with former Secretary of Defense and Bangor native Bill Cohen about the state of the current political landscape, nationally speaking anyway, and he actually likened it to one of America's favorite games. Take a listen.
We need to work across the aisles because nothing really gets done if you're at polar extremes. It's sort of, I've always felt that the game of football, basically like American politics, you play it between the 40-yard lines. America is basically, and I believe Maine is basically a slightly right of center state, and we're a slightly right of center nation politically. And it shifts back and forth from time to time. Sometimes we go left of center, slightly left, but we know if we go too far left, there's a reaction to that. The same thing should be true if we go too far right. Most people live between the 40-yard lines.
What do you think of that? We live between the 40-yard lines.
Well, I mean, and certainly as far as Maine goes, Secretary Cohen certainly understands the Maine electorate far better than I do. So I'm not going to dispute that. I think his slightly right of center characterization of the state is accurate.
Yeah.
And I also think nationally, the fact that is true even today that a majority of Americans are somewhere in that middle, maybe center, maybe slightly right, maybe slightly left. So I think that's certainly true. The one maybe qualifier I might add to the Secretary's comments is that the percentage of Americans who are maybe at the 20-yard line to the goal line on each end of the field has probably grown over the last 10 to 20 years.
So the numbers in the far right or the far left, those still a minority, have ticked up, you're saying?
That's my findings and it's kind of the research that I've done.
And with there a minority in that 10 and 20-yard line, how much do you think that is affecting the people that are right there in the 40-yard line, working with each other, trying to make America move forward?
Well, I mean, it affects them in at least a couple of ways. First of all, it affects the tone of the conversation, right? And so if you're, part of living in a representative democracy is you have to have public dialogue. And if there's more of the conversation that's taking place further from the center, where most people are, then that can affect everyone. I think another place that it's impacting things is in primary season, right? I mean, we know that when people are selecting in primaries, whether they're party primaries or open primaries, it generally tends to be the more committed, the more ideological voters that participate in primaries, and that's why you tend to get more ideologically extreme candidates that get the party's nomination. And then those people in the center have to make a choice during the general election.
If we were to see more people in the center, you're saying that a lot of these people that are closer to the center are kind of keeping themselves out of this whole election cycle. Do you think if we got more of a play from those people in the center, we could have a different landscape here?
Well, certainly anytime you change either the people who are voting or the people who are considering running for office, that can change not only the outcomes but the whole tenor of the process. I would say that I don't think we see a whole lot of people who are sitting out because of maybe more ideologically polarized choices, but maybe they're much less pleased with their choices, and it's almost like they're making a choice, lesser of two evils rather than a candidate that they'd really prefer.
That's been an ongoing theme, I would say, in the last two presidential elections and even in the midterms as well, that we've heard, voters talking about how they're not super thrilled with either candidate, and so the choice it's almost like a degraded choice. They don't feel like they're choosing someone that they're super enthusiastic about. They're just making this choice of, I don't know, who do they fear less? Who do they think is the lesser of two evils, as you've said? It's a little, not depressing, but it's a little disheartening, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, part of that is because we have primarily a two-party system, right? And when you have a two-party system, you're really going to have meaningful choices of A or B, and two-party systems generally tend to result in those kind of things. But part of it also is the fact that we've changed how we select candidates over the years. It used to be party leaders were selecting candidates. Now it's voters, and as I said earlier, generally in primaries, it's the more extreme voters in each party that are doing the selecting, and that's going to result in more extreme options that those voters in the center might not like very much.
We're talking a lot about the national landscape, but the state legislature is in flux in this election as well. So how do you see that landscape shifting, not shifting? Like, do you have a prediction for how the legislature will swing or not swing?
Very close in both chambers. I mean, the Democrats currently hold both chambers. They have a bigger margin in the Senate. My guess is that they maintain control of the Senate. Maybe their margin shrinks a little bit, but they keep the Senate. The House, I think, is in many ways a toss-up at this point. It's a tight margin. I would say either party has a chance to take it, but I think whoever has it will have it by a relatively slim margin.
And of course, we're hearing that voter turnout has been exceptionally high, and so it could be a little while until we see a clear path on either side.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think we are going to take a little break here, and then we'll come back with our full forecast.
Stay with us.
High temperature is up near 60 today, but we are not going to stop there. Some 70s are back in the forecast tomorrow, followed by some really big changes. Details on that when I come back.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
Renovating or building new, you'll find a wide selection of high-performing, energy-efficient, and beautiful windows and doors at Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales representative will walk you through the showroom displays and help you choose options to create a personalized custom look. Free in-home measurement is available, and Hammond can deliver your order from any of their locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Bring your vision and enjoy better light and added security and energy savings with quality windows and doors from Hammond Lumber Company.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7, broadcasting loud and clear on our new tower. 50,000 watts of smooth rock and roll with Paul and Sonny in the morning and Mike Dow in the afternoon. Star 97.7.
We've got your truck at Darling's Bangor Ford. Right now, Darling's has lots of trucks and lots of great deals. Mavericks, Rangers, Lightnings, dozens of F-150s, and powerful workhorses of the Ford Super Duty line. Our staff will find the perfect truck for you. Whether you're buying a new truck for the family, work, or fun, we've got your truck at Darling's Bangor Ford. You'll do better at Darling's.
Light it up!
TV's biggest game show is back, and it's even bigger.
This is not the same floor.
Now with 100 players battling for territory.
Let's do it!
The Floor, only Wednesdays on Fox, and watch anytime on Hulu.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
Talented head chefs, right?
Big egos mean big blow-ups for Gordon.
Where is the passion?
Hell's Kitchen head chefs only. All new Thursdays on Fox.
All right, happy Election Day, everybody. A couple of sprinkles out there earlier, now kind of falling apart as we speak about them. And overall, we have decreasing clouds out there tonight. All of this will go that way. That will stay to our west, and we have our next weather system probably not until later Sunday into Monday. So another dry stretch in store for us going forward. A pretty active pattern, though, here. And in fact, this system here may change things next week for us as it kind of dives to the south. It could kind of bring down some more moisture in our area, but not probably till after Sunday. So overall, a dry stretch of weather through the weekend, then maybe more of a wet week next week across our neck of the woods. And we could use some moisture, of course. Here's a drought monitor where it's been dry across the U.S. Levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 drought conditions now across much of the country. Included in there is, of course, our region, levels 1 and 2. And we do have a bit more rainfall in the forecast, but not a lot for us anytime soon. Maybe some sprinkles getting in here later on Sunday to Monday. I'm going to run this through Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday into Monday, and you see there's not much going on here at all. There's a chance there could be a couple sprinkles late Thursday night, but that's it. Other than that, we are dry into and through the weekend. But look at the temperatures today. 60 here in Bangor, 56 for Bar Harbor. This is not normal. Average high temperatures are in the 40s. We're all above that today, but we're not going to stop here. We could go for 70-ish across the region tomorrow as we're building some heat across the west right now, and that is moving this way. So likely some low 70s across our neck of the woods tomorrow. And again, that's not normal. It could break a few record highs across the region tomorrow afternoon. And this kind of lines up with the winter outlook by the Weather Service. This is your tax dollars at work, of course. So for December, January, and February, kind of the plan from them is below average temperatures here, above average temperatures here. And that's kind of what's setting up for this week and beyond. So we'll see if it holds or not. Of course, December, January, and February are still about a month away. All right, going forward, though. So lots of wind out there today out of the south, gusting near 25 miles per hour. That's given us our small craft advisory out there for this evening and through about midday tomorrow, with wave heights approaching 4 to 8 feet into tomorrow afternoon. But the wind will likely go calm for a couple hours tonight, and that could give us some dense fog. You're driving, 4, 5, 6 a.m. Watch out for some dense fog tonight into early parts of tomorrow morning. Our forecast then tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies, a bit breezy out there at times. Look for low temperatures down near 51. That's way above average, right? And a gusty southwest wind for a while, but going calm for a couple hours around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. For tomorrow, all right, this is not normal. Partly cloudy, a bit breezy tomorrow, warmer as well. Highs reaching for 72. A southwest wind could gust around 25 throughout the afternoon. And then looking ahead here, 5-day forecast shows the story. So 72 tomorrow, but only 56 on Thursday, 55 Friday with some sunshine, Saturday 49. Here's Sunday, 51. Our next weather system gets in here most likely Sunday night into early parts of Monday morning.
In other news tonight, a scare this morning at multiple schools in Maine. According to Maine State Police, various crisis lines across the state received threats of armed individuals on multiple school campuses. The Maine State Police have confirmed these calls were hoaxes, more commonly known as swatting. We have confirmed that among the schools that were hoaxed were Bangor and Brewer High Schools. There's no known danger to the public or students, and the investigation into those calls remains ongoing.
Maine State Police are investigating a crash involving a tractor trailer and a pedestrian. It happened at about 2:15 this afternoon on I-95 southbound in Palmyra. A state police spokesperson says in the incident, when it occurred, as a worker for Northeast Paving was placing cones on the highway for a paving project. A tractor trailer struck the construction vehicle, causing 24-year-old Charles Miller of Enfield to be thrown from the truck. The spokesperson says Miller sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was taken to the hospital for treatment. 38-year-old Bormia Dicko of Pennsylvania was driving the tractor trailer and was not injured. One lane was closed while both trucks were towed from the scene. State police are still investigating what led to the crash.
And stay with us. Sports is next.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Are you ready? This is the big one, the 2024 Christmas Craft Fair at the Bangor Mall. Saturdays and Sundays, November 9th, 10th, 16th, and 17th. Free admission and free Dunkin' coffee. Over 350 local vendors with new vendors each weekend. Get your free pictures taken with Santa. 4 $1,000 cash door prizes. Don't miss the 2024 Christmas Craft Fair. Saturdays and Sundays, November 9th, 10th, 16th, and 17th at the Bangor Mall.
Is that a new generator to your house?
Yep, a Generac automatic standby generator from Valley Home Services. They just installed it. Wished I'd done it sooner.
Comes on automatically?
Yep, no more standing out in the cruddy weather tugging on a rope to start.
Powers your well pump?
Does the whole house. You can come over next time the power goes out. I went with Valley because they'll service and maintain it.
What's the number? I want my own.
Here you go. Call Valley Home Services to install a Generac automatic standby generator for your home today.
Fox College Football Friday and Big Noon Saturday kick off a whole new era of college football.
I cannot wait for this game.
With new matchups, historic rivalries, and brand new conference clashes.
Listen to this crowd come alive.
The Big Ten,
Whoa.
Big 12,
Unbelievable.
and Mountain West are hitting Friday and Saturday harder than ever.
Monstrous hit.
This is the season we've all been waiting for. College football on Fox.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Diversified Ink Tattoo Studio in Bangor, located in the Penobscot Plaza, providing custom ink by licensed artists for more than 20 years.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to start on the soccer pitch. Big day for our soccer teams up here. Half of our regional finals going on Tuesday evening. We will start with 8-player soccer up here in Bangor. Second seed PCHS and top seed Calais are battling for a trip to the state title game on Saturday. PCHS up 1-0 early. Here's Brady Gaw. Gets some space here and fires, and that one is going to get through past the diving keeper, his second of the game. Pirates up 2-0. Later in the first, Chase Lander has it, makes a move here, and he crosses it into the box. That's going to be for Gaw. Actually, a very great save here by the Calais goalie to keep it 1-0. Now Chase Landers has it, crosses it into the box for Gaw, and that is Gaw's third goal of the game. A hat trick makes it 3-0 Pirates. Still in the first. We're going to move on to the second now. That's going to be Gaw with a ball over to Landers in the box, heads it in. It just gets in there for the goal. Pirates are heading to the gold ball game. They win it 6-0.
Yeah, you know, it felt great. We wanted to come out of the locker room with intensity. We all wanted this game. Probably best game of our season.
To the girls, 8-player Northern Maine finals now. George Stevens taking on Dexter. First half, George Stevens up 1. Abilene Corson has it. Great ball here to Desiree Adams, and she connects from right in close. That ties the game. We go to the half at 1-1. Second half now, Corson has it. She's going to get it to Adams again, driving past the defense, but here comes Jaslyn Smith flying in with a great defensive play. That is going to keep it all tied at 1. Adams now, Dexter has it again. Adams is going to find Corson, and Corson gets it, takes her time, hesitates, gets to the open space, fires up high. It goes off the keeper's fingers and gets through. That's the game-winning goal. Dexter heads to states. 2-1 is the final.
Definitely. I mean, we've never made this far in soccer. Obviously, basketball, we were very successful last year. So a lot of us are used to this environment, but there's a lot of players that have never experienced this before. So I think it's a really good opportunity for them. I'm really proud of them.
Down to Oakland now, Class A North Finals. We start with top seed Camden boys taking on 2 seed Lewiston. First half, Lewiston would on the push, but look at Camden Hill's keeper, Brian Leonard, coming up with a huge diving save to keep it scoreless in the first. Late in the first half now, Blue Devils again, final minute. Fernando Benge drives that one. That gets through. 1-0 Blue Devils at the halfway point. Second half now, Camden Hills with it on the corner kick. That's going to be saved. Nope, it bounces around for a bit, and credit Jasper Hackett with the game-tying goal with just over 20 minutes to play. They would end regulation tied at 1. 2 overtimes wasn't enough. They would settle it with penalty kicks, and the Windjammers win 4-3 in PKs to win the game. 2-1 they head to states. Finally, the girls' Class A regional final. Bangor looking for 2 straight trips to the state game, taking on Camden Hills. Early on in this one, Windjammers off the corner. It's loose for a bit, but that's going to be Britta Denny getting her foot on it and burying it past the keeper. That breaks the scoring open, makes it 1-0 Jammers. Rams now trying to knot it up here at 1 apiece. It's going to be Clara Oldenburg with the boot. She just misses. That one rocks the crossbar. We felt it vibrate from up here. Later on now, it's still 1-0 Camden Hills. Avery Clark has it. We're still in the first half, and she drops a dime here to Tegan Atherley, and Atherley knows what to do with it. She scores to tie it up. Tied 1-1 at the half. Bangor holds on to win 3-2. That's their 14th straight victory. On to some basketball now. The college hoop season tipping off on Monday, and Maine women's hoops opened the year with a convincing 65-51 win over LaSalle. The Black Bears opening the year at home for the first time since 2018. No Adriana Smith for the season. They still took down the Explorers thanks to a huge second half run. Maine led by 10 before LaSalle cut the lead to just 1, but the Black Bears responded with a 12-2 run and never looked back. Senior Paula Gallego led the way with a career-high 21 points and a career-high 10 rebounds, drawing some high praise from her coach and teammates after the game.
Both sides of the ball, you know where she is. She's a leader out there. It's her 4th year, so she's had a lot of seasons under her belt. She knows what to expect. She knows how to lead us and, get through the tough times and get to the game.
We've talked a lot about you have to be ready. Like, you can't pass up shots that you typically did in the years past. And so I thought she was really good right from the start, really aggressive, looking for a shot. She's so efficient and she's so smart. She knows where to go, where she'll be open. And getting the rebounds she did too were really important.
All right, big win for them. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Now's the time to get a great deal on the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. Professional-grade mowers, durable Sidekick utility vehicles, and versatile compact tractors. It's the equipment you need to take care of your land. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
You're gripping a pumpkin spice latte, watching the home game on a Friday night. Earlier, you took the kids apple picking and almost made it through the corn maze. It's that time of year. Shorter days, cooler nights. Valley Home Services believes the comfort and warmth of home means more on nights like these. Comfort and warmth that comes from Fujitsu heat pumps. Valley Home Services has the most reliable choices for heating and cooling your home or business. Ditch the worry of heating bills and power outages all season long with Valley Home Services. Go ahead, embrace the comfort.
We've got your truck at Darlings Chevrolet. Right now, Darlings has lots of trucks and lots of great deals. Silverados, Colorados, EVs, and tough workhorses of the Chevy HD line. Our staff will help you find the perfect truck for you. Whether you're buying a new truck for the family, work, or fun, we've got your truck at Darling Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. You'll do better at Darling's.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
25 words or less.
Wallpaper.
We have 30,000 ways to thank our loyal fans.
I love watching people win money that's not mine.
Win one of 3 $10,000 cash prizes.
Courtroom leader. The judge.
By watching from home and scanning our QR code.
You just won the game, guys!
It's the 30K Thanks-A-Rama giveaway.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Sundays, NFL coverage starts with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11.
This is great TV.
Then Fox NFL Sunday at noon. The best NFL pregame shows are only on Fox.
A pop icon and best-selling author announces a new business venture, and a popular fantasy drama may get the big screen treatment. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin looks at these stories and more in today's Hollywood Nation.
Rock's Hollywood drama Game of Thrones eyes the big screen, and Spears makes a career move in the Hollywood nation. Britney Spears lines up a new business venture. The pop icon announced on Instagram she'll be launching a jewelry line called Be Tiny. She posted a photo and video of one of the pieces that will be a part of the collection, telling her followers in the caption the jewelry is delicate, extremely different, and one of a kind. The Game of Thrones universe may be expanding. According to Deadline, a movie based on George R.R. Martin's beloved fantasy is in the works at Warner Brothers. The TV drama became a global hit, airing for 8 seasons from 2011 to 2019. Jason Bateman and David Harbour are teaming up for a new project. The duo will executive produce and star in an upcoming dark comedy drama for HBO. It centers on a love triangle between 3 adults experiencing middle-age unhappiness that ends with one of them dead. Chris Rock will be back in the director's chair for his next film. He will direct and star in the Hollywood set drama Misty Green. Based on an original script by Rock, the story follows an actress who has the chance to revitalize her stalled career with a role offered to her by a director, even though their turbulent past could make things complicated. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, Election Day wouldn't be possible if not for the hundreds of polls workers around Maine that give up their time and efforts to assist voters. Our Jody Hersey met up with 2 poll worker pals in Bangor that have decades of experience, and neither of them are showing signs of slowing down.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what to do without her.
87-year-old Jan Budden and 90-year-old Yvane Stevenson are longtime poll workers and friends who spent Election Day at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor.
Seeing people that I've known through the years, and I just love doing it.
Budden says working the polls runs in her family.
My father was an assessor, and my mother worked the polls, so kind of thought, that would be kind of fun to do.
Turns out Budden enjoyed it so much, she's become a regular fixture at the polls. These 2 retirees combined have more than 42 elections under their belts.
Election day, I do 15 hours. I go from 6 until, and I'm a stamper, so I stay a little later, which I love doing.
While most voters want to get in and out of the election booth as quickly as possible, these Maine seniors say there's no other place they'd rather be on Election Day.
It's a chance to give back to the city what the city's given to me. I'm a Bangorite.
In Bangor, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, candidates have commented about the importance of young voters in this year's election. We didn't have to look far to find some of those young voters exercising their civic duty today. In Hamden, 15 preschoolers at Highland Preschool got the chance to cast their very own ballots during their class's Teddygram elections. Each student went into the voting booth where they taste tested one honey, one chocolate, and one chocolate chip Teddygram before casting their vote for their favorite. These young voters say it was an exciting race.
My favorite Teddygram.
You voted for your favorite Teddygram.
Yeah.
Did you know which one was your favorite before today?
Yeah, it was the chocolate.
So we like to introduce it at an early age so that they start understanding the concept, and we try to do it in a simple way that they can understand and relate to.
When the ballots were counted, chocolate won by a landslide of 9 votes. The honey Teddygrams finished second with 3 votes, and the chocolate chip Teddygrams fell behind to third with 2 votes.
And we close tonight with some final thoughts on governance. Bill Cohen and his message for Maine voters.
I would hope that Maine people will look at this and say, we want to believe in the rule of law. We want to support those representatives in Congress who believe in the rule of law, who believe that we have to remain independent to the point where we still support our party's philosophy, but we also support decency, equality under law, or equal opportunity under law. That's basically the message I would hope that people of Maine would have received by this time, and I can only hope that's the case.
And we couldn't close without you. So taking a look at sort of where the Electoral College is standing right now, you know, kind of what are your thoughts on the results that we're seeing?
Well, I mean, one, it certainly looks, you know, more positive for former President Trump right now than Vice President Harris, but, you know, still a lot of votes to be counted, still a lot of states with electoral votes still to be allotted. We have to wait and see. And one other thing I guess I'd say is that, you know, there's been a lot of talk in the last few election cycles about the polls being off. Mm-hmm. Right now, it looks like, you know, preliminarily the polls are kind of on the money. There's a real close race, and that's what we're seeing. So
yeah, we're getting the nail biter that we were expected to get.
That's right.
All righty.
Well, that about does it.
We're all going to try and breathe.
Yeah. Take a sigh of relief. We'll be cutting in with updates throughout the night.
Absolutely.
We'll hear more from you later on tonight as well.
People can join us over on ABC 7 in just a few moments, and we'll be chatting more about results. Hopefully we'll have more by the time we speak again. But again, all of that high voter turnout means it takes a little longer to count the ballots.
That's correct.
All righty. Well, that is going to do it for us, folks. From everybody here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great night.
We'll see you later.
How many times has something broke down, but the right size tool is nowhere to be found? What you need is Red Dog, the amazing universal socket tool that fits, grips, and tightens virtually any fastener. And now may be your last chance.
Me and you, fight night. A parent wants to fight Gregory.
That's how Fresh Prince began. We can't lose Gregory to Bel Air. He can't afford it.
There isn't gonna be a fight. I'm opening this up for bets regardless.
Jane, this does tomorrow.
Ding, ding, ding. Time to fight. I got your back, man. Now open up, say ah.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
The marathon of life can be challenging. Chores and responsibilities keep us from the things we once loved. the aspirations we set. But it's never too late to find your second wind. With an affordable, fully online program and advisors to help you along the way, you can cross the finish line at your own pace. Finish strong at the University of Maine.
Your local professional, eco-friendly office space partner is Levesque Business Solutions, your one-stop shop to get the job done. Handling all your office furniture and printing machine needs at an affordable price. Offering full system integration into your workplace and local service on everything we sell. We can even remote monitor your system with just-in-time inventory and service need assessments. Little to no downtime gives you peace of mind. At Levesque Business Solutions, your solution is only an email or a phone call away.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.